2025 versus 2023 Surron Ultra Bee. This has turned into a much bigger saga than I was anticipating. I've basically done nothing but test these two bikes for the last few weeks, and the results may surprise you. So the Red Bull Tennessee Knockout is less than a week away, and in just a couple of days, the van is leaving with one of these bikes. So which one's going to Tennessee? Honestly, I don't know yet, but we're gonna find out today. And before we do that, let me just back up a little bit and I'll get you up to speed on how we got here. First, we broke the swing arm on the 2023 Ultra Bee. Then, after years of abuse, we finally cooked the temp sensor on the stock motor. So we decided to upgrade to the ebmx XUB80 motor. But we quickly found out this motor likes speed and airflow, and our slow hard enduro testing was causing this big motor to overheat our ebmx X9000 V1 controller. And it's already overheated. See, I'm full throttle right now and it's going nowhere. Like, look. So then we reluctantly moved our efforts over to the 2025 Ultra Bee and started sinking our teeth into this bike. See, this right here is why I don't want to race the 2025. This bike was destined to be a motocross setup, and that's where it should go. But it quickly turned into a hard enduro bike, and so now this has become a potential candidate to race TKO. I didn't love the power delivery of the stock 2025 controller, so we put the V2 ebmx X9000 on this bike, and we set out for some more testing. But the opposite happened on the 2025 bike, and now the stock motor was overheating, getting that poor thing up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, that's where it overheated last time. I was at 300. So we rigged up an ECR thermal management system, AKA a fan plugged into a lithium battery. And we did the same exact run. So far, I'm impressed. 178 is the highest I've seen it in that climb. I was consistently hitting 300 degrees last time we rode this, so fan doing its trick. This time, success. The motor stayed cool. But of course, we could not stop there. This worked too well, and we were too deep into testing to not explore every option. So we got ourselves a sotion motor, which is smaller and less kV than the XUB80. And we mounted that up to our 2023 bike, and we also rigged up that same fan to try to help keep this motor cool. And that brings us to this very moment right here. I have to be clear, if we were just riding these bikes on the track or the trail, there would be zero issues with pretty much any of these setups. They would all work fine. But as we get ready for TKO, I'm asking these bikes to do a very specific task. And that's basically to take a thermal beating with little to no airflow. But we do have to get ready for TKO, and that train is leaving in a couple days. So today we are going to find out once and for all which one of these bikes I prefer and which one we're gonna race TKO on. All right, we're gonna start out on the 2025 right here. So the cool thing about the V3 controller on the 2025 is, power this guy up, you'll notice there's no egg rider display because this harness utilizes the factory function. So you've got eco, daily, and sport. And those three settings are like race 1, 2, and 3 in the former ebmx app. So pretty nice. Nice to have that. I am gonna run it in daily. Still have to pull this trigger like the OEM bike to get it to start. We're good. So these bikes are set up almost identical except for a few key things. So I'll just talk you through what is going on with these bikes right now. Obviously you saw they're both running a Cirrus fork and shock. This bike, the 2025, has the trail tune on it at the moment. And then the 2023 has a hard enduro tune. But I've got this pretty soft right now, so close enough. And they're both running ebmx X9000 controllers. But the one on the 2025 right here is the new V3 controller. Probably do some content about this after TKO. But as I mentioned, the cool thing about the V3s now is that it integrates to the cluster. So if you were buying a Torp controller solely for the reason of retaining the stock display and buttons, and you like that feature, well, good news. You can get that on the new ebmx V3 X9000s. So that's what's on this bike, and yeah, it feels good, man. The great thing is just being able to tune your throttle feel, the amount of power you want. And on this bike, you can pull 25 kilowatts consistently on this bike. The setting lets you go up to 30, but it seems like a lot. So some other bits and pieces that both of the bikes have, obviously 2118. This one's got Warp 9 wheels. 2023 has KKE wheels. Both running 54 tooth steel sprockets because we keep bending aluminum sprockets. So 54 tooth just to get a bunch of torque out of these bikes. Probably too big for anything other than hard enduro, in my opinion. I'd rather be down at like a 50 or a 52 maybe for general use. Both bikes are running KKE steering stabilizers. This bike has the Pro Taper Husqvarna bend handlebar. The 2023 is running the ODI Carmichael bend. Warp 9 low profile steering stops to get some better turning radius. And both bikes have Warp 9 floating rotors with ebmx brake pads. Both bikes are running gummy tires. This one actually has that X grip, jack the gripper rear, but otherwise in the front on both bikes and on the rear on the 2023, we're running IX 09 IRC tires. Back to the wheels, both bikes are running plushy mooses too. Both bikes are belt driven, so this one's got the stock belt. I've done a new Gates belt on the 2023. So I told you everything that is the same on these two bikes, so what is different? Well, this is the 2025. So 2025 has the stock motor, which I'll tell you about in a second, and the stock battery. So pulling a bit more power and a completely different motor design, which is, come to find out, pretty important. Really the reason we're filming this video. So yeah, both bikes, very similar. The only difference is the motor and the battery, basically. The fact that this is a 2025 makes it a little bit different. These bikes all would have been great if I were just riding this terrain right here, getting some airflow. I never knew how important that was for some of these bikes until recently. I just haven't put them through the consistent torture that we've been putting them through. And yeah, they overheat. But with airflow like this, there's nothing to worry about. Only really, when you boil it down, it is the difference in motor between these two bikes. 2025 Ultra Bee, I will say this bike feels tighter. It's a lot newer, has a lot less hours on it. I also think they stiffen this thing up a little bit, but I can feel that for sure. We've been swapping suspension back and forth between these two bikes, the hard enduro tune and the trail tune, and obviously those feel different, but I can feel a difference in the frame for sure. But you know what else I can feel a difference on? The motor, big time. Like, I did not realize until getting this deep into testing that what I was feeling on the 2025 throughout all the reviews and stuff that we've been doing sounds like it's coming back to motor design, is what I'm told. I have spent hours and hours talking to the man behind the scenes at ebmx, Mr. Jared Foster, and we have been working through a lot of different things that he already knew, but things that I wanted to learn on all these different motors and controller settings. What's working, what's not working, what's overheating. Is it the controller that's overheating? Is it the motor? Why is it overheating? What can we do to make it better? What are the options? So thanks, Jared. You're a legend for spending all of that time working through this stuff with me, and also drug quite a few other people into it too. So it's been an ongoing project, for me at least. And at one point, all roads led to the 2025 Surron Ultra Bee being the best option for what I'm doing. I was reluctant because this bike is basically brand new, or at least it was. Now it's not. And I didn't really want to slam it through a bunch of rocks and scratch it up like crazy, but we already went ahead and did that. Because I wanted to turn this bike into a motocross build. That was kind of the goal and the plan, and eventually it will be, but I just wanted to keep this thing fresh. But the reason being on this 2025 is apparently this motor can take a lot more heat than previous motors on the Ultra Bee, and also since the XUB80 is such a big motor, there's no way that motor is overheating, but in turn it'll overheat the controller, as we found out. So the thought process was, let's run that 2025 Ultra Bee motor. It can take a lot more heat. The motor is designed to take very little phase amp, which is mostly what causes heat. So yeah, it can handle heat, and it kind of requires less thermal phase amp because the phase amps are quite a bit lower on this motor. So that's what we did. We put the controller on here and went out and tested it. And yeah, man, this motor can get hot to the tune of like 300 degrees, which is crazy hot. But I noticed something that didn't go away when I switched from the stock controller to the ebmx. That was the way that the power delivery feels. Yes, it's better with the ebmx for sure. And you can tune it more, and I am going to tune it more than I have right now. But I've been riding these bikes exclusively. Like, it's the only bikes that I've been riding, and I've been riding them with, at this point now, 4 different motors, all with the same controller. So I've got quite a lot of feedback on how these bikes feel with the different motors. And one thing I noticed on the 2025 was, man, I don't love the way that the throttle feels. So I talked to Jared a bit more at ebmx, and I said, hey man, are you sure you nailed the tune on this? I just feel like a little bit disconnected to the rear wheel when you're kind of in that mid part of the throttle. Just feels a little bit vague, and then it also just feels really jumpy. Like when you're starting from more or less a stop, or you're just cracking into the throttle, it's got this kind of like jerky, kind of abrupt type feel, and that's exactly what the stock bike felt like. So I was like, okay, that throttle tune, you can do F1, 2, and 3. I dropped it all the way down to F1, which is supposed to be the most sensitive, and I was still feeling that kind of jerky feel. So I figured for sure, pop the ebmx X9000 on here, it'll go right away. It's just a controller tune setting. But come to find out, it might not be as simple as that. And there's still some room to figure this out. So I'm not gonna rule it out. We're gonna spend more time tuning, trying different settings. And that's really what I'm working on right now. But from what I'm told, from people that are smarter than me, when it comes to engineering and the design of some of this stuff, is that this hairpin motor is the reason that it feels like this. Like right here. You can see it is just kind of spiky, and that's what I don't like about it. So I tried pretty much the same exact controller settings and a lot of other settings too on the ebmx XUB80 and the now Sotion motor. Not to mention, I put a lot of time on the stock motor on the 2023 bike. So none of those motors feel like this. I feel like those motors all feel less jerky, and the throttle feel, to me, feels better deeper in the throttle. Yes, this motor can take a lot of heat, and don't get me wrong, it is good. I'm not like, oh God, I hate this motor. I don't want you to misinterpret it, but you know, I have the unique perspective to be able to test all the stuff back to back to back. And that's what I'm kind of realizing. So yeah, love the battery in the 2025. I think that is great to have the capability to put out more power and have some more capacity. But yeah, on the motor side, I don't know, I just don't like it as much. Like, I prefer the 2023 motor. And I know, yes, we cooked the temp sensor on the 2023, but that's after like years of really hard riding on that thing. So I don't really think that's like a bad design thing. I think that bike's just seen a lot of hard use. I always try to shoot you guys straight. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Would I buy a 2025 Ultra Bee again? Of course. It's a great bike. And you can pretty much just leave it stock. Like, the power feels good on it. It's not that it feels bad or anything. It's just, I think it's a little twitchy and otherwise a little vague feeling for my preference, but really scrutinizing these things, it's good. But when I compare it to what I've been riding with the previous motor, stock, or some of these aftermarket motors, I'm like, man, I don't know. Kind of like the 2025 motor the least. I'm sure folks at Surron are watching this video, and I do have to say, directly to you, this is no hate comms on Surron. I think you guys are great. I think you make an awesome bike, and I think this is an amazing machine. It's one of my favorite bikes for sure, so I don't want to take it the wrong way. Like, love this bike, it's great. Would buy it all over again. But man, I don't love the motor. All right, 2023 Ultra Bee. You guys know this bike. Not much has changed on here, but only big thing is this Sotion motor. And a big reason this test was important just because I really want to ride these things same exact terrain, back to back, make sure none of this stuff is actually in my head and I am feeling what I'm feeling. And I can tell you right away, I just like the control of this powertrain better. I just feel like I need to chalk it up to motor. So it's really the common denominator. I'm running the same controller, pretty much the same settings. And yeah, I just feel like I've got a more throttle hand to rear wheel connectivity with this motor. It just feels like the inputs that I'm giving the bike are reacting quicker. It's not like too punchy. It's got good ramp up. It's just a more connected throttle feel. I just like the way this bike feels, man. Thing just feels set up proper. If I were riding more trails like this, I would definitely drop 2 to 4 teeth in the rear, run either a 52 or a 50 tooth sprocket, get a little bit more top end. But it's nice having the acceleration on this thing. That's what we're gonna want for TKO. Yeah, biggest difference between these bikes is just the motor. It's not crazy different, but it's noticeable to me. This motor just feels smoother, more controllable. I will say there is one weird thing about this Sotion that neither Sotion nor ebmx seem to have an answer for. And I can't get a motor temperature readout on this thing. I've tried a bunch of different settings. ebmx seems to think it's a Sotion thing. Sotion seems to think it's an ebmx thing. So, I don't know. But I think it's good. We're gonna go for it. Pretty important, I guess. It's kind of the point of this video in a way, but I noticed the motor wasn't getting hot, so I think with that fan we're gonna be okay, but as they say, still gonna send it. Maybe we'll find a solution before the race, but it's the only weird thing. All right, Dustin is going the creek way. I'm gonna stay on trail here. And I'm also gonna kick on my fan here in a second, but I love this bike. I always come back to this thing, and man, no matter what's wrong with it, what we need to repair, replace, fix, I love this bike. It's just always been good, so. Yep, we're racing this guy. 2023 lives to race another day. All right, so you guys wanna see the secret weapon here? Just wanna make sure I'm not getting this thing hot. Got a fan rigged up. Probably hoping to do something better for the race, but this will just have to do. So what did we learn over the last few weeks? I'm gonna start with this. The thing that I learned the most, I love the Surron Ultra Bee. It is such a great platform. Good job, Surron. You guys make a great bike. And good job to all the companies that put on parts for these bikes, because man, it really transforms it. I have gone from like really liking the Ultra Bee to absolutely loving the Ultra Bee. And that's because of some of these aftermarket parts that we put on it. Speaking of which, the other thing that I learned over the last few weeks is that cooling is so important, especially on these bikes. We looked into liquid cooling. We looked into, honestly, some out and left field forms of cooling, and we didn't want to run those because they're a little complex and we don't have much time before this race. So just rigging up the ECR thermal management system, AKA a fan plugged into a battery, really made a big difference. Like, I was pretty surprised at how much of an improvement it made to keep temperature down when we're on those situations where we're not getting much airflow. So that was a really cool discovery. And to be honest, probably one of the biggest discoveries of this whole series of testing. So I thought that was super cool. And it really is gonna make me feel confident going into the race. The other thing that I noticed is I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, I didn't really know that some of that feeling that I was getting out of the 2025 Ultra Bee, and it also, to be honest, it was like the same feeling I was getting when I tested this racing kit from Surron, you know, I guess it was like 2 years ago now, is it just has that kind of like jerky feel. And so I guess I just boil it down to the motor, because I've tried now 2 different controllers and tried different settings, and I can't really get rid of that feeling. And so I'm told that that's the result of motor design. So as always, I'm sure everybody has an opinion on it, but from what I'm noticing at this point in time, the common denominator is that motor. And that's really where I'm feeling that kind of just slight disconnect in the throttle and that little bit of jerky feeling. So yeah, we're gonna run the Sotion motor on the 2023. I like that the most. I think it's got the best opportunity to not overheat and to perform really well, give us the feeling that we want. So that's what we're gonna run with. Gonna do this race, and then we're gonna come back. I'm gonna set this 2025 up for motocross like I wanted to. So the 2025 will live on. I'm excited for this bike. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this helps, because man, I have done so much obsessing over this to figure out what is going on with all these bikes. I learned a ton, and I hope I can pass that off to you guys, and I hope it helps somebody out there. So that's really the goal of some of this stuff, to find the best solutions, and hope you guys can benefit from it. So let me know what you guys think. Hope to see you out at TKO, and thanks for watching. See ya.